Let's begin with a question. Who do you think is your enemy? Take a time and think for a moment. So, is your enemy is the one you think that who is competing with you? Or the one who have a different point of view than yours? Or the one who abused you or hurt you physically, mentally or verbally? So, think about that person who you think as an enemy and hold on to the thought, and let's get back to it shortly. Hi, welcome back to Oneness. Today it is day 69 and we will be looking at verse 69 from Taoteching. As usual, let's observe a few seconds of silence. Alright, so now let's get started. So the verse 69 begins like this. There is a saying among soldiers, I dare not make the first move, but rather play the guest. So this line clearly signifies that don't invite trouble, period. So what he means by don't invite trouble is, just don't make the first move. Be like a guest. So what he means is, like, for an example, if you're hosting a party and inviting guests, if you imagine that scenario, instead of being a host, be a guest. And the guest who's also hesitant to go to the party. So here, when you're looking at as a war, instead of inviting a trouble or initiating or starting a war, be as a guest who's invited. And think 100 times before even you go into the war, even if someone invites you into a trouble or invites you into a fight. That's what this line signifies. Then Laotzu goes on to say, I dare not advance an inch, but rather withdraw a foot. So instead of taking an inch forward, it is wise to take a foot backward. So what Laotzu means here is, instead of getting into a trap that is set by someone else, like who invited you into a fight, take a step backward, because that is a known place. Instead of going into a trap, go into your own territory, which is your strong and which you know it is safe. And then he goes on to say, this is called marching without appearing to move. So what he means here is, it is just, first level, you be prepared. So what may happen if someone invited you into a fight? Instead of going all out and fighting with someone, you stay back. You show as if you're moving by the other ways of approaching the fight. Like, for trying to find an amicable way which is beneficial for you and the other person, instead of moving or going all forward towards the fight. That is what he means, marching without appearing to move. Then, rolling up your sleeves without showing your arm. That is where you show your preparedness to the war. If there is a fight, if there is a conflict which you need to resolve, then you show all your preparedness beforehand. You don't just rush into the fight. That's what rolling up your sleeves without showing your arms means. Then he goes on to say, capturing the enemy without attacking, being armed without weapons. So how I see this line is, being armed without weapons is being armed with a goodness. In the past, we have seen what Laotzu talks about, three treasure. That is compassion, modesty, and moderation. So if you hold the treasure, which is goodness, then you don't need weapons. So instead of going with the weapons to the war, go with your goodness. So that way, there is a chance that the war doesn't happen, or the fight or the conflict is resolved amicably in a way which is not hurtful for either you nor to the other person as well. There is no greater catastrophe than underestimating the enemy. First of all, you should not underestimate someone and then call for a fight or a challenge. Other way is, even if someone invites you or brings you into a fight, challenges you, don't underestimate them, because that is a foolish way of handling a fight. Then, by underestimating the enemy is risk losing what I value. So in this line, Laotzu clearly says one thing. First of all, the moment you invite a trouble or the moment you pick a fight with someone, then you are not one with the Tao, nor not the one with the goodness. You're already away from the goodness the moment you're thinking of fighting with someone. The moment you think someone is your enemy, then you lost your way. That is the way of being one with Tao, or the one with the nature. Then Laotzu goes on to say, therefore, when the battle is joined, the underdog will win. So in the worst come worst case, if there is a conflict and which needs to be resolved, if not amicably, then you're really just competing to win over some case or an argument or anything. Even here, Laotzu talks about a war, but for you and me, it can be a simple argument. It can be a simple fight, which we are trying to win. The one who is an underdog will win. So what Laotzu means by the underdog here is the one who first of all not started the fight. The one who was hesitant to even participate in the fight. And the second one is the one who really regrets the whole thing, that it has to end in a fight, or it has to end in a competition or a conflict which needs to be resolved. So the one who really feels bad to get into the fight itself is the one who will win. So to summarize this verse, how I see is, the first rule is don't invite any fight or a challenge or any kind of a trouble in your life. It can be anything. It can be a conflict of interest, conflict of your thoughts, and no matter what, don't provoke the other person to get into a fight. And then even if someone provokes you, think 100 times before even you react. Don't even take it. And then before you move, try 100 ways in a way in which you can resolve the things peacefully. Even at the worst come worst, it has to be resolved with some kind of a fight or a dispute. Then really feel the sadness, because there are no winners in the fight. Think about it for a moment. Even at the least, you will lose your time and peace of mind. So if you get into an argument or a discussion or a physical violence or any form of fight or challenge, then you will lose your peace of mind, and it is not worth it. That's what the crux of the verse 69. With that, one actionable thought for today is, in the beginning, we started off as saying, who is your enemy? So whoever is your enemy that you thought of, make a subtle difference in your thought process. If you think someone is your enemy because they hold a different point of view, then think that it is fine. Someone can hold a different point of view other than yours. It is completely okay. Accept that. If you see someone as your competition, that's why you wanted to challenge them and compete with them and win over them, see them as a practice partner. What I mean by practice partner is, they are there to bring the best out of you. And even if someone really hurt you, be it physically, verbally or emotionally, try to stay away from them. Instead of participating in the fight, or instead of showing your superiority by challenging them and trying to show your strength, be it physical or verbal, instead of that, stay away from them. That way you will have your own inner peace. And finally, if it is possible, try to see the goodness which exists in the other person as well. And that way you will know there's a goodness which you are connected to with the other person. Because at the end of the day, we all have goodness within us. No matter what is our behavior, try to relate with the goodness. So with that thought, let's conclude day 69 and talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.